Today, I want to talk about laziness, what it means to be lazy, if it's a sin, and of course, how to overcome laziness. So let's start off with what is laziness. We want to define it, we want to get a good understanding of what it is. Laziness is a lack of desire to act or to do what you need to do. A lot of times, another way to describe laziness is just procrastination. You know you have to do something, you don't want to do it, and you keep putting it off and putting it off. And that's a common thing that many of us may have experienced ourselves. And of course, we need to separate laziness into two different aspects as well. There is biological laziness. And the way we really see that is biological laziness is something that usually does not indicate who you are. You find yourself thinking, I've never been this way before. This is kind of different. I don't know why. At this moment, I don't have a desire to do anything. Now, it doesn't mean that that trigger means that you're going through that biological depression, but it could be a sign of it. And so it's good to know that. The other one is spiritual laziness. And that tends to be when you know you need to do something and you know it's important, but you decide to do something else instead because that something else seems more important to you. We may not say it out loud. We may not think it out loud, but more times than not, laziness is just what we decide to do with our time because we want to do that more than anything. And I find myself in that situation the most when I'm doom scrolling, when I'm just on YouTube or I'm on Instagram or TikTok or any other application where I'm just scrolling through and I pass through one thing and then after that I got to watch that next video. And after a while, I'm not even registering what I'm watching. I'm not really picking up what I'm seeing on that screen. But hours have passed and I realize I got to be doing something else. I'm behind. And then I'm rushing to catch up on what needs to be done. Other people just get lost in their time when they're doing things that they're just passionate about overall. If you love doing projects and you get stuck on a project, you might not notice what's happening. And you have all these other things that need to be done, but you're so hyper focused on that project that you lose time of what's going on. Now, that's not 100% the same type of laziness as the inability to want to do something, but it is procrastination because you know that something else needs to be done, but you're putting it off to do something else. And that's the core of what happens in laziness and why we can move on to answering the next question. Is laziness a sin? And yes, absolutely. Laziness is a sin. It's one of the oldest sins. It's a sin that's so big that it has an actual name within scripture, the sin of sloth, which we don't use that word anymore, of course, but it's just that sin of not doing what needs to be done. And the reason it's a sin is because it pushes us away from God and it pushes us away from honoring God. If you find yourself responsible for feeding a family or you're helping a friend out and you decide not to do that because you get caught up doom scrolling or something else, that laziness is affecting their lives, but it's also affecting the way that you're representing God. On earth, we represent God with our actions, with our words, and with our very lives. And so when we procrastinate, when we have that laziness or that lack of desire, when we decide we don't want to do these things that we're responsible for, at that point, we're dishonoring God and showing to others that God is not powerful in our lives. That if we are Christians, we're telling them that Christians are liars or lazy or they never do what they're supposed to do. And in such a way, that's not a way in which we can honor God. It also separates us from God because one of the things that we can be most lazy with is in our relationship with God. And it's a hard relationship to maintain because a lot of times it may feel like it's a one-sided thing. And so we find, well, I don't really want to pray today. I don't want to read the Bible today. Maybe we think we might want to do it later, but then we hit up TikTok and we hit up YouTube and we get stuck scrolling through and we never get to praying. And then we're tired and we just want to go straight to bed and we lose that opportunity to be with God. And so we separate ourselves from God with laziness. We prevent ourselves from having a great relationship with Him because we're not putting in the effort. So yes, laziness is a sin, and it's a sin that has deep and lasting consequences in our life because it's not one of those sins that's just one and done. It's a sin that becomes a habit and it becomes a lifestyle for us. We find ourselves struggling to overcome our procrastination or our laziness. And I can tell you, the moments I really procrastinated the most is when I didn't want to do the thing I needed to do. If it was school and I had a paper due and I didn't want to write that paper, I would find every reason to not write that paper. I would do everything I can not to get the work done. And what ends up happening at that point is that when I go to do the work, when I have no choice but to do it, and I'm forced to confront that, my laziness has put me in a position where I can't give my best effort. And so I don't write that paper to the best of my abilities. I write that paper with just the little limited quantity that I had, that I separated, and all the other times that I had to write and to study and prepare, they're wasted. You don't get that back. And the scary thing about it is that laziness tends to, from a spiritual point of view, focus on what I want over what God wants. And so laziness becomes a lifestyle where we put up excuses to do what we're required to do. But now we know that laziness is easy to fall into. We know that at any point in our lives, we've all been lazy in some way or another, and we know that it's a sin. How do we overcome laziness? Well, first, let's talk about the biological one. If it's something that's due to a depression that's affecting your body physically, then you need medication to help, or you need to find support to help you with that. And so it is okay to go to a doctor and just talk about the fact that you're tired, you have no energy, you need to see if there's something going on and to see if there's something physical happening in your body that you can take care of that can help you. And I know that sounds weird, but I've gone through it myself. I've gone through the exhaustion, the tiredness, the laziness, and I still try to push through, only to find out that I had a medical condition that required surgery to resolve, and that if I hadn't gone to look, then I probably wouldn't be here today. So it's okay if you're feeling not yourself to go and see if there's something that's happening to make sure that that's the cause of everything. I got past that situation, a lot of my laziness disappeared, and I'm more active than I've ever been. The second possibility is if it's a spiritual one. If you are just putting your desires and your wants and your time over God. And the only way to overcome that is with decision making. It's with actually making that choice of today, I'm putting my phone down and I'm just going to read the Bible. I know that I've been avoiding prayer today. I know that I don't want to talk to God and that it might seem scary, but you know what? I'm going to give it a shot anyways. And it's those moments when you choose to put God over what you desire that really makes a massive impact in your life. It really does change a lot of things. And what you're going to find is that that thing that you used because you were passionate about it as an excuse to seek God, that disappears and God becomes what you're passionate about. You'll find that your conversations are going to be centered on God, that you're going to be talking more about it. And you're going to find the next thing you're going to need, a community of people that feel the same way you do. It is difficult to be passionate about something by yourself. That's just a fact. It's like trying to play Arc Raiders or any other multiplayer game by yourself. Can you do it? Yes. Can you get far? Probably. But when you got a group of friends with you and you're doing it together and you're all enjoying it, that's so much better. It's so much more fun. And so, yes, can you be a solo Christian? Absolutely. Should you be a solo Christian? Absolutely not. You should be surrounded by community. You should be doing your best to work with other people that are passionate about the same things because you're going to find more passion because of that. It's kind of like an echo effect where you guys are bouncing off of each other and it makes you all more passionate about what's going on. So if you haven't experienced that, please give it a shot. Find a community of believers that are passionate about God the way you're passionate about God and try to talk Bible with those people, and you'll find you're going to end up more excited about going into it. You're going to be more likely to read the Bible and to do what you're going to do because you're not doing it alone. And the final thing is, if you're living a life of laziness, if this is now your habit, if you get home and the first thing you do is pick up the phone and doom scroll for 3 or 4 hours and you don't even realize that the time's gone, then you need to consistently find a way or a habit that's going to overcome that instead. And you have to make that decision every single day. Now, it doesn't mean that going on YouTube, on TikTok, or Facebook, or any of these things is a sin or it's wrong. It absolutely isn't. You can still doom scroll, but do so in a way that doesn't take away from the things that God has called you to do or the things that you're responsible for. If you know that doom scrolling is one of those things that once you start, then you're gone for the next 2 or 3 hours, do everything you need to do first get everything you need done, and then you don't have to feel guilty about doom scrolling. You can do it afterwards, and there's nothing wrong at that point. You can still do those things. If you love to play video games and you know it takes hours to do so, then be active and get everything you need done out of the way first so that you can dedicate the time afterwards. Because we know that when there's an activity that you immediately have connected to, my day is done, your day is done. That's it. It's just over at that point. And if you still can find a way to get out of that, that takes a lot more willpower than people are willing to admit. That's why I play my games late at night after the kids are asleep, after I've done everything I need to do. That's when I can go and do the things that I like to do with no guiltiness in my heart. I'm good to go. But while I'm there, while I'm doing everything I need to first, I got to get everything I need out of the way first, because if not, that's it. The only way to overcome laziness is just by deciding to do so. And of course, we're talking about laziness tied to spiritual condition, because those type of conditions are the ones that Christians struggle with the most. And of course, if you need help or are finding difficulty overcoming certain things and it's something that's not natural to who you are, please look for help and find the support that you need to get that moving in the right direction. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you enjoy the content that we're making, please feel free to subscribe. God bless and have a wonderful day.